Hey everyone, Troy here from LionInTheSandPersonalDevelopment.com. Pretty excited I get to interview Miss Jess here today. We're going to talk a little bit about my blog that I put out for personal development. So we're going to kind of jump right into this. Pretty excited to be able to get a woman's perspective on some of the stuff that we're vlogging about, try to bring content to the viewers that has value that you guys can use, and hopefully get some good stuff, some good takeaways. So we're going to ask Jess some questions, and pretty looking forward to it. So how are you today, Jess? You doing okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I'm doing a blog on personal development, as you know, and we're talking about 3 key areas. That seem to be kind of what I'm building the blogs on. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions in reference to some of the stuff that I've vlogged about, and just like to get your feedback on it. Fair enough? High five. She's doing great, folks. So in our culture, we see, it appears that there's a lot of depression and anxiety and just unhappiness overall, in spite of all the things that we have now at our disposal. And I was wondering what your thought was on maybe some of the drivers behind some of this stuff. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think social media is a big driver. Just the access to other people's lives, but not their real lives. The life that they want you to see as opposed to the life that they actually live. Which in turn creates I'm not doing a good enough job in my life because it doesn't look like that, or the fear of missing out mentality because look at what all these people are doing and in their life, and here I am just sitting on my couch eating bonbons and watching soap operas.
Do you think today women are more emotional or more rational in their decision making?
I think women naturally, in general, are intrinsically more emotional, and men are intrinsically more rational. That doesn't mean that you can't have a rational woman or you can't have an emotional man, but naturally, that's how God made us. Women are more emotional and men are more rational, which is probably where the whole disparity in men being able to understand women and women being able to understand men comes from.
So I guess to kind of say where I'm going with that is just based on a lot of the research that I've read, that absolutely mental illness is on the rise. This type of dysfunction we see in relationships and things like that.
I think what we're seeing more of today perhaps is the removing the stigma that talking about mental health is a bad thing, or that seeking help for mental health and trying to improve your mental health is, you shouldn't talk about that. So perhaps there's actually, like you said, there's more data available because people are actually going and getting help or trying to improve themselves or trying to talk about it. However, on the flip side of that, like I said, with the social media, I think there is more access for people to share with the whole world, the whole World Wide Web, if they want to, how depressed they are and what their feelings are that they're thinking or feeling or whatever, as opposed to just talking to a friend or two. And so we see so much more of it. And is that an increase? Possibly. But does that in turn affect the people who are seeing that? I think definitely. And so that's where I think that's another facet of where social media plays a part in the increase that we're seeing of depression and anxiety and social anxieties. And
So one of my first blogs on personal development is this heart-mind battle that humans go through, right? It's like it's a constant struggle between following your heart, making rational decisions, and having a favorable outcome. So I think that trying to understand, for me anyway, maybe you can weigh on this, maybe not, but trying to understand and identify these emotional feelings of like heart impulse feelings versus rational decision making. I think my point is just that I think from a development standpoint, we really have to train ourselves to be able to know the difference between these heart impulses and a good rational decision. All right, so we covered a little bit about the heart-mind battle, that kind of struggle that goes on within all of us, and how we are to kind of tell which is which and be able to understand what emotions are and what a rational decision looks like. So we can make better choices and develop as individuals. That's kind of where I want to go with that first topic. Second topic, I talk about physical health. I'm going to ask you a couple questions about kind of, again, culture, eating habits, some things that we all struggle with. I mean, it's no secret that Americans are overweight, Americans are sick. Diabetes and heart disease, I believe, is some of the leading causes of death and things like that. So, we got to look at that. We have to pause and say, man, this is a huge issue. Culture, and quite frankly, as a nation, we're getting fatter. We're 20% heavier than we were just in the 60s or 70s. So, I guess, tell us a little bit about, I'm not going to say the D word, because diets never seem to work, and we all start them in January, but what are some of your techniques or maybe habits that you do to try to maintain a healthy weight, try to eat right? Kind of talk us through a little bit, maybe just briefly, like what's your diet like?
well, I have some health struggles, which make my diet a little more less diet and more lifestyle. So I am sensitive to gluten, and so I have to stay away from that. So in general, I definitely stay away from gluten, and then I try to not consume too much sugar, or definitely try to stay away from artificial sweeteners, and I just keep my carbs on the low side in general. Just try to eat healthy, keeping those other things in mind. No sugar, no gluten, low sugar, no gluten, lower carbs.
So tell us a little bit about your fitness routine. I mean, your work a full-time job. You got 3 kids. I mean, you got a lot on your plate. So what does an average fitness week look like for you?
Get to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and I try to just do cardio, lighter cardio, but sustained. Yoga several times a week, and last year I was trying to do weight training, but anytime I try to work with weights, I bulk up too much, and which is probably nice for some people, but not for me. I would prefer to lean out and not be so bulky.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about an individual, whether a celebrity or a teacher or someone in your church, or tell us about a woman in your life that has had a big impact on you from a life development perspective.
Social media realm, I guess. Her name is Natalie Hodson. And I've known her for, the better part of 10 years, I guess. And I don't know her now. I really just follow her on social media, but I used to be in her downline in a network marketing company that I used to be a part of. And then she just built this online business, and in the midst of falling on some hard times personally, and she just picked herself back up and put her life back together and she really grew personally and developed this great business that provides for her and her kids and helps a lot of people. It's ebooks and cookbooks, and she's just done a great job building a business by helping other people and sharing her knowledge. And so she's just made an impact on my life. Just personally, I'm really proud of her for what she's accomplished, and then just the impact she's had on my life to be a motivation. And I haven't figured it all out yet, but she definitely is one of the motivators to help me figure some things out.
That's awesome. I think it's important to have mentors or people that we look up to. I mean, you got to have goals, right? You got to have targets to shoot for, and I think it's important to have people we can reference like that. So that's great. I appreciate that. Tell us about Jess. Who is Jess? If you had to kind of lay out your legacy of who you are, maybe what your brand is, kind of how you want to be known, or just tell us a little bit about you as an individual.
First and foremost, I am a Christ follower and a mother of 3 amazing little girls. Well, not so little anymore. I'm a student. I love to learn. I'm actually a student right now in school to get a degree in psychology.
So, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, like Back to the Future. You ever see that movie? Great movie. If you could jump in the DeLorean and Doc could send you back, what advice would you give yourself in this area of mind-heart development, physical development, and achieving a legacy or assets or some type of career? What are just some quick things you on this side to be able to go back? Because we all know when you're 18, you can't be told nothing because you know everything. So if you could go back and tell yourself some of those things, what would you say?
I think the first thing I would say is slow down. Not all the decisions have to be made right now. Definitely take your time on things. Don't rush. There's no rush. There's no need to rush. Slow down. A a lot of mistakes happen because we just rush to find the right answer or rush to make a decision because we don't know what else to do, so we should probably make a decision. Get to know Jesus now instead of when you're 35. Maybe stay away from so much mac and cheese. Because I love mac and cheese. And when I was a teenager, I loved it even more, and that's probably what pushed my body to the limit, and now it doesn't want me to eat gluten anymore. So, lay off the mac and cheese.
Slow down, lay off the mac and cheese.
Develop actual fitness habits and routines when you're young, and motivation and developing new habits is not as difficult as it is when you're older and you have responsibilities and you're tired at the end of the day. Go to school and be a nurse like you wanted to be. Do it. Because then you can build on that. But do it now. Do it when you're 18 instead of wishing you had done it for the next 20 years.
For you, what does happiness look like? Is that $1 million in the bank, a successful business, living in Maui? I mean, what does happiness look like for you? If you could at a stroke of a pen just write this life out, you don't have to go in depth, but kind of overall, what would that look like for you?
Happiness or contentment. And I'm going to throw you a different one. Joy is more important. So joy would go along with contentment. Happiness to me is temporal. It's fleeting. It's circumstantial. Happiness is based on what is going on around you. Do I have enough money? Do I have the right spouse? Do I have a nice enough home? Do I have a job I like? All of that, that's happiness. But all of that can be drastically affected by whether or not you are content or whether or not you find joy in what you have. Joy doesn't go anywhere. Joy comes from within. Joy is your heart. Your heart is in a place where you can appreciate what you have, even if it's not enough to pay the bills, or even if, every day isn't sunshine and roses, you can still find joy in that. So for me, it's not about happiness. It used to be. That's what I was seeking. But over the years, I have learned and come to the place where I understand that a God-honoring life is, and one that we can enjoy, is one that comes from contentment, no matter what the circumstances are, and joy comes from that.
That's interesting. So that makes sense to me that happiness is external and can change. Joy is internal, which doesn't change based on who you are. Excellent, excellent. Well, Jess, I appreciate you coming on and talking with me. I know this isn't kind of your comfort zone, and I'm trying to grow my brand and create content for viewers, and I respect Jess so much. I value her incredibly. Her and I are starting a marketing company together, and we are scared to death and have no idea what we're doing. But we're pretty excited about it, right?
Yeah.
And she's been a great help to me, and I thank you for being on my show. all three of us. So thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope this content was helpful and valuable, and I hope that we continue to bring good content, and we'll get this together and get it over on our YouTube channel, and we'll also post it on Facebook and Instagram. So say bye, Jess.
Bye.
All right, thanks everyone. Appreciate it.